In this lesson, we're going to create the loops around the mouth. Alright, so let's go ahead and just borrow some geometry from the loop in the eye. So let's select that eye, and let's go to our Modify panel and Polygon mode. And let's select this polygon right here and grab our Move tool, hitting W on the keyboard. We'll hold down Shift and we'll move that polygon down here to the lip, right around the center at the top. And we're going to make sure that that says Clone to Element, as we want it part of this object. Let's hit OK. And then I'm going to go to Vertex mode and just do a little bit of an adjustment here. I'm going to pull this vertex down underneath the nose. And then I'm going to take this vertex, or actually the same one, and we'll pull it over, and we'll try to get these as straight as possible. Now you can select both of those and grab your scale tool and scale those in the X to ensure that those are perfectly in line with one another. Now we'll go to Vertex mode again with our Move tool, and we'll pull these vertices over right up here to the top of the lip. So it should look something kind of like this. Now before we move on, let's select that polygon and move to our left view, hitting L on the keyboard. And then we're going to drag this over to the right, and we want to make sure that that matches up with our reference image pretty well. Now it might be a little off, so I'm going to select all the vertices on this, and as you can see, I can see right through that polygon, so I'm looking through the back side of that polygon. Let's grab our scale tool and scale that in the X, and we'll keep scaling until that's perfectly straight. And then what we'll do is we'll grab that edge that's on the outside. So go to your perspective view, select that outside edge right there. And in our left view, we'll go ahead and grab our Move tool and pull that back. So it should look something kind of like this. Now we might want to start pulling these vertices around a little bit more and trying to get those to match up a little bit better. Now looking at this, we don't want to come in and start pulling these vertices down and all of that, because we've already set it up here in our front view. So we really shouldn't have to do too much except for doing a little bit of minor tweaking. Now let's go ahead and go to Edge mode with this edge selected. Hold down Shift and drag that out, and then we'll go to Vertex mode, hitting 1, and we'll just start to kind of pull these vertices out, kind of like what we did with the eye. We're wanting those edge segments to kind of point toward the middle of the lip here. So we'll pull this one down, and we'll start to point that a little bit more as it's starting to come to the corner of the mouth, and it's going to curve around this shape. Now with this, the character mouth, we don't want to ignore this shape right here, as this is the corner of the mouth, and you do have a little bit of a curve around the lip. Now some characters, or some people, lip shape can be very, very different. And so just because we have these lines that kind of come off of here, the character's lip is a different shape. So we want to make sure that we adhere to that shape. So let's take this edge right here, and we're going to drag this down to this point here. Some would say this is the corner of the mouth, and now we need to get this loop and take it around. But I want to go even further beyond that, because there is the skin right here around this character's mouth. Now I will pull that down a little bit closer, like so. And then we'll take that edge and we'll pull it straight down. And then we'll go to Vertex mode, and we'll start to make these adjustments here. Okay. Now I'm going to make a loop right here. So I'm going to pull that just like so. And we should have a line that's pretty much straight across here. And then we'll continue down around the rest of the lip here. Okay, so now that we have this shape, let's go ahead and shape it out in our left view, as we don't want to continue creating geometry, as that can make it very hard later on. So let's grab the corner of the mouth, let's go to our left view, and let's pull that straight back to that point, and then we'll go to Vertex mode, actually Edge mode. Let me pull this back just a little bit further. So that should be good. We'll grab this edge, pull it back until it matches in the reference image, which should be right about here. And we'll pull this back, and then we'll pull this one back. Let me pull this one forward just a little bit. So we've got a nice lip shape going so far. Let's go ahead and finish it out. So in our front view, let's grab this edge, and I'm going to pull that straight down. And then I'm going to go to Vertex mode and just pull this down to something right around here. So you can see that it's creating a pretty large loop all the way around at this point. Under edge mode again, I'm going to pull straight across. And we're going to take those points and we'll get those a little bit closer. And I just want one here at this point. Sorry about that. And let me pull it down to the lip, and let me take this one, pull it right down here. I'm trying to get those to match pretty well. Okay, so trying to match those segments. And I'm going to take this down, try to make that a little bit larger polygons. Hold down Shift, we'll drag this out. And then we'll go to here. Let me kind of split that polygon there. And then we'll pull this right out to the middle. So as you can see, the polygons, we're outlining the lip with this interior edge right here. So what is that going to say about the shape that we're creating? This is the skin that goes around the mouth. So we need to make sure that we move those points accordingly. So let's take that first edge right there. Let's go to our left view, and I'm going to pull that forward right out to here. We'll take the next edge and we'll continue to pull that forward. And I'm going to pull that to the edge of the lips there. And we should be able to get pretty close with this method. And then what we'll do from here is we'll just kind of start to do a little bit of tweaking under vertex mode. So if you want to change that shape just a little bit, okay, just continue to tweak that. Alright, so this is the shape that we have so far. This is going to be the shape of our lip. But right here, this should actually curl under a little bit. So we're going to pull that edge forward in the Y. Okay, and then I'm going to, try to hit vertex mode, hitting 1 on the keyboard. And we'll pull that forward. And I'll pull this and this one forward just a bit. So that's going to create that curl that we have right here on the side of the lip. Alright, so now that we have that, we could start to come in and create the rest of the loops. Now the next important loop is going to be the one that comes up over the top of the nose. And this one is going to be right over the top of the ball of the nose. So I'm going to grab this polygon and drag it straight up holding Shift. We'll hit OK. And then in our left view, let's make sure that that is into position. Now this one might be a little bit different in the reference image. Let me pull that up just a little bit more. Right about here should be good. And then we'll pull it right over here. So we'll go to vertex mode and we'll start to make some very minor adjustments. Try to get that polygon set and straightened out. I'm going to pull that a little bit closer. Go to our front view. That should be fairly straight. And now we can start to create that loop. So this can be a little difficult because we just start looking at the picture and start visualizing the loops themselves on this flat surface, and we're not really thinking in 3D. If you take a look here, the side of the nose tends to get forgotten about. So we need to hold down Shift and drag this out to right here. And then in our left view, we want to pull that back to where it reaches the cheek at the bridge of the nose. So we're looking for this kind of shape here. Now, that's going to look kind of odd at first, but we don't want to forget about that drop. So now we can go back to our front view. We'll hold down Shift, and we'll start to drag that out. Okay, from there. Now this is going to go, it should go right around the edge of the nostril. So I'm going to pull these points down a little bit more. And I'm going to tend to trust my front view a little bit more than my profile. And then once we have those polygons started, then we can start to modify the shape. Okay, so I've got this here. Let me pull that forward. Let me actually pull this one back a little bit so that touches that nostril there. Alright, so now let's go to our front view and let's start to create that loop. So hold down Shift, we'll drag this down. We'll try to keep our polygons about the same size. And again, that's just a guideline. You don't have to be exact or anything like that. And then we'll start to pull this down. And this is actually going to go right around this loop here. So we'll have a 1 polygon difference between this loop and this loop here. So I'm going to pull this down to right about here because I'm looking at this segment, trying to get that to match up there. So I'll pull that up here. Hold down Shift, drag that down to here. So it's going to match up right here. So we should get kind of that sort of shape. And then we're going to continue around. Now I'll hold Shift and I'll drag this across, and it's going to meet me right here in the middle of the chin. Okay, let me pull this one over a little bit more. Go to vertex mode, make some adjustments, and then we'll pull this across right to the middle. Now once you have those loops in place, we could just start to come in and make some final adjustments to the model itself. We can start filling in polygons and getting the exact forms that we want, because now we've locked in the shapes that we need. And now we can start focusing on the details themselves. Now we can't go much further because remember, we need to make sure that we're working in the left view as well. So we've created those loops, but they're still not quite in place. So let's go to edge mode, and I'm going to grab the corner right here, and I'm going to pull this back to right about here. I'm going to take this polygon, or that vertex that's on the outside, and pull that back a little bit further, and then I'll just go one edge at a time. I'll pull that one back, and then I'll come down here and pull this one back. We'll grab the next edge, pull it, and this one, I'll pull it forward, and then here, and then this one, I'm going to pull right to there, and then this one looks like it might need to come down just a little bit and forward. So it's kind of following along with that nostril. So as it comes off of that nose, it starts to create our cheek, which bumps right up against the nostril there, which creates that crease, and then into the cheekbone, and then down into the mouth, and around to the front of the chin. So a nice little loop there. We want to pull these edges to where they look nice and relaxed, and they're matching the form that we have so far. And looks good. Alright, so now that we have these loops, they are in place. Our character doesn't look like much right now, but these are going to be the most important loops for you right now. This is going to give you something to build to. And now what we're going to do in our next lesson is we're going to shape out the profile of the face and the head, and then we'll start to come in and we'll start blocking this out. We'll start creating those strips to connect all the pieces together, and then we'll start filling in the gaps for the head, and you'll see exactly how all of this comes together. So we'll get started with that next.